I'm going to walk you through my whole process of composing this particular scene. I'm going to look at a bunch of reference photos, perhaps pick a few that I like and bring them together. So the first one I'll look at is this one, and I'm just going to see if I can change around the composition just a little bit. I actually like how it looks at the moment. And in terms of the figures, I don't know if I'll actually get all of these figures in, but what I really like are these two little boys standing just over here on the horizon line, just little boys waiting for everyone to come home with the water or supplies. So I just want to try my best to get in a little indication. They look like they could be brothers, or who knows. So little fella here with yellow t-shirt, and he's got his arm around smaller boy here at the front, and you can kind of see his arm come across like this. The way that I make the hands as well is that I just sort of create them into these little circular shapes like that, and then the actual arm I just make it into this sort of tubular shape. So that's the forearm here, kind of coming around like this, okay? And you can see him sort of reaching over. Kind of looks a bit nervous actually, probably because of the camera. Reaching over to hold his brother's arm, okay? So this is just a quick little sketch that I think will really help to bring things together, have an idea of where I want to put the composition, whether I want to keep it as it is or whether I want to change it up a little. Okay, so got in his shorts like that, and for his legs, I'm just going to make them pretty simple, just these two triangular like shapes like this. You can see part of his feet actually here, pointing out like this. Okay, there we go. So you can see there's a bit of an ankle there, and then you've got this sort of shape here at the base. A bit of darkness. Now the thing is that the light source is coming from the right-hand side, as you can see, with the shadows on the ground, as well as the figures that are walking around there. So that's something I really want to emphasize over here. So let's get in a little bit of shading in here. Okay. Yeah. It's more of like a rounder shape actually, like this, like that. Okay. So I kind of like how they've turned out. Sort of waiting, and there's like a shrub or something here on that right hand side. Just a shrub that's kind of in the way here. There, maybe casting some shadows here, bits of grass. Okay. There's a bit of a dirt path here on the ground. And I'm going to get in this little shrub here as well. Looks like to be a tree or some kind of shrub, or it could even look like a rock later on. Just a little bit of the terrain here in the background like that. Okay. Now these are the tricky sort of parts. These figures that are kind of walking in to the left, holding the water containers, and I'm going to just start working a bit on maybe this figure here. And what we want to do is also look at the horizon line. So where the sky meets the ground here, you can just see roughly where you want to place the heads of these figures, and they are roughly around the same point. I mean, you've got one here, perhaps. You've got a smaller one, smaller like child here. You've got another lady kind of around here, another one just a little bit higher up, because I think it's just the elevation of the land. Okay, so again, let's just simplify the shapes of the figures down. I'm going to just get in kind of like a torso shape like this, and then kind of a dress there with the legs. Just going to start putting in a bit of a calf like this, okay, and other legs sort of behind there, okay. This one is interesting because I haven't been able to get in the foot really. Whether I'm going to do that or not, that's going to be interesting. I may not. I may not. We'll see how we go. There we go. Let's get a bit of her arm reaching upwards, holding this container of water, okay, which she's just balancing on her head. So I might get the container in first, just a rectangular like shape like this. There. There we go. Something like this, and we can get an indication of her hand holding on to the container like this. Yeah. Again, just trying to create this bit of her arm like that. Forearm will just be a little bit larger at the top, okay, and taper down into the wrist. And here, of course, we've kind of just got her arm up and is holding on to this water container there. And let me just get this one just right in the front of the head like that. There, good. And color that in a little bit to get in that idea, that shape, that sense of darkness, shadow from the light coming over from that left-hand side. Okay. Again, at the moment, this is all just quite, quite basic, but I want to make sure that I've got a decent composition in here that I can play around with for later, see if it works. I actually really like this one, and I've brought the little boys forward as well. I think this creates a sort of story here, and the fact that the legs go out of the scene as well, I thought that's kind of interesting because it makes this figure look a little bit closer. Okay, let's get in this other smaller figure here. There might be a chance that, some of this stuff is actually drawn that head a little too close. Okay, but, see how we go. Shirt, and it's kind of like a dress like this. And I really want to get in maybe some colorful dresses and bits and pieces coming in as well. Okay. Let's get in some legs. There. There's one leg, another leg here, and the calf there. Okay. A little bit of the foot like that. Okay. Fantastic. And a bit of detailing on the fabric. And it's very tricky when you have overlapping figures like this. Sort of draw the head shape with a kind of just a oval-like shape. But these containers on top, I mean, they're just little, kind of, if you think of them as like a cereal box or something, they just look a bit like that. It's not too hard to draw those on. I think it's more the shapes of the figures that you're at times battling. Okay, there's another figure here. Okay, we've got another figure kind of overlapping, and you can see her shoulder up here, arm come out the side of the shirt. Again, the forearm coming upwards, kind of looking to balance on, or I could just put a hand up there. That's no problem as well. Okay, overlapping shapes. Okay, dress coming down roughly around the same height as this one there as well. Okay, and the foot perhaps coming forward like that and just facing flat on the ground there. We've got another figure here off in the distance. I think what I'll do for the actual scene is try to space the figures out a bit more. They're too cramped up over in this way that I'm doing it. It can be just a bit trickier, but it does create this sense of this sense of grouping, which again is a stylistic thing too. Okay, let's just get the legs of that one. Okay, walking up. Okay. There is like a kind of shrub or something on that side, and we've got options really. I mean, we could get in that shrub, or sometimes, you know, if I can get in a building or something like that, here over on the side, that might make it look a bit more interesting, like that. Just the kind of side of a building. Maybe they're heading back into their town or their village, like that. Okay, and this also helps to create a sense of light and dark here. So I might have a couple of windows here in that building, and then that sort of um, just adds a bit of that character, that light source coming in from that side. You know, I do think maybe some little shrubs here in the distance might be good as well. Some trees, some taller ones that are just off in the distance like this. Okay. You know, I think that's quite okay for the first little sketch. I do like these two little boys, how I've drawn them out like this as well. I'm going to just have a look further down and plan out perhaps another alternate version of this scene and see if we can I'm just going to see if perhaps I can get the figures coming in from a slightly different angle. Okay, let's give this a try. Now I'm going to just start putting in the horizon line roughly here. And with this reference picture, you can see the figures are kind of coming in from the side here. There's a lot of shrubs and things all over here in the distance. I don't think I'll actually get most of these shrubs in. I was thinking of putting like a hut or something here, the top of a hut off in the distance there, for example, and just using some of these trees and stuff around the side. This can be a bit of a path in like that. But then we can have these two little boys standing by the side here as well. I do quite like how that has been captured there. So these two have been captured there. So we're going to go and I just place them in roughly in the horizon line as the older sort of brother looks to be, or here, and let's get in the shoulders. Okay, there, the younger one here. Okay, like this, and put in the side of his t-shirt here as well. Again, his arms sort of coming around, and it's the younger one holding the hand of the older brother here. There. Okay, so just something simple like this. Okay. Again, we'll have a lot of time to flesh out the proper details later on, but this is just a quick rendition. Rendition of this as we have it. You'll make the heads a bit bigger because you find that with children, their heads are significantly larger than the rest of their bodies. So if I now go ahead and take a different angle of these figures and start putting, say, I'll put one in here. Let's just put in, I'm going to get in the body, general body shape like this. You can see the leg of this figure kind of comes out, knees just in front like this, and then it comes all the way back like that. And then you can see the foot, which has a kind of this triangular shape like that. Okay, just something like that. And then the other foot just coming downwards like this, and flat on the ground like this. Okay, like that. And then you can sort of go in and start fleshing in the details of the clothing. Okay, of course, this container here, top, there, hand in, this little indication of that hand. It was the forearm, and then the rest of the arm there, holding on to this water container. A little bit of that there. Yeah. There. Okay. Bit of hair, and bring that a bit further up. It looks heavy. Already I'm kind of liking this one a bit more, just the composition. Here's a smaller figure here, like a little girl carrying this bottle of water. I'm trying to also spread out the figures a little more, just a little bit more. And the reason why is so that I can, I don't know, create a bit more space and comfort in between them, because having them too close together just makes it look a little bit too busy for my liking. Okay, there we go. There's another figure there. Okay, just a really quick indication, yeah. Have another one like here, just balancing directly over her head the water container. It's a little bit higher up, like this. The back of her arm and dress here as well. I have to look a bit longer, this one. And we can see calf coming out the back like that. And foot, again, just looking at that triangular like shape. Other foot kind of in the sand somewhere. Three figures are quite interesting. I might actually, later on, I'll move these figures over to the right hand side, probably around about here. But I do actually like the poses of these figures a little bit more. And the inclusion of this sort of hut here as well, simple kind of hut, I think just gives it a bit more interest. Whether I end up putting some more in on this side or not, that's the question. I mean, I do like these little shrubs and things that just come up here in the foreground. Okay, they're going to be interesting, and a lot of wet and wet watercolor work is going to certainly go into this. I have to sort of move this figure up a little bit to make it look like she's walking straight into the scene as well. You know, there's always options to add in another, you know, if I want to just play around and add in another hut there, or make it look more of like a village as well, like that. Okay, that's something I do want to try out. And also you got some of these trees maybe off in the background. Okay, so it looks a little bit more like a village, like that. And they're just returning with some water. Of course, I might have some larger shrubs here or something like that. Okay, just surrounding the figures, because this is going to create a negative shape around and create a sense of light as well. Okay, so, you know, I might even, there could be a chance of just getting rid of that hut altogether, creating this larger sort of tree shape or shrub shape around there, then having all the huts and things over on this side here. Okay, have the little boys kind of standing there greeting them as they return. So I like this composition. I think I'll actually stick with this one